Kadosh Boker Or, Daf Yomi Masechet Avodah Zarah Daf Lamed Amud Aleph 32a1. This is the Gemara as follows. If you remember, we were mentioning in the Mishnah, Cheres HaDrayani. Cheres HaDrayani is basically a type of a cheres, a type of an earthenware which is soaked in wine. So the Gemara says, "My hadrayani." What does it mean now that it's going to be soaked in wine? So Amar Rabbi Shmuel says, "Rabbi the name of Shmuel, cheres shel hadrayanus kesar." We're talking about cheres, which they took the chayalim, the soldiers of hadrayanus, when they went out to war. Okay. Now the Gemara says, "Kiata Ravdimi." When Ravdimi came from Vel Teretz Yisrael, he used to say, "Karka betula heita." It was karka betula shelo avda adam me'odam, which means that it was never worked upon. Karka betula is like virgin land. Virgin land means they never worked the land. They never did anything to the land. So, and he says, Unta'a, and they planted grapes there. They used to put the wine in these earthenware utensils. In white jugs for a certain amount of time. And then they used to come and they used to draw in, used to absorb the wine. And then afterwards they used to break them into small pieces. And then they used to come and they used to carry with them. And he says, whenever they used to get to the place, they used to come and they used to soak it. So therefore they used to soak it inside, absorb these jugs. And inside of the jugs, that's when they were able to have it. Okay? You can hear me properly?
Yes, you could speak a little louder, would be good.
Okay, I'll try. Amar Yoshua ben Levi, says Yoshua ben Levi, V'rishon shelan, when we're talking about now our wine is much better, right? So he says kishlishi shelahen, so it's like going to be a third of theirs, which means when they used to come and they used to soak it, right? They used to, how many times did they have to soak it in order to get absorbed? So they asked the following question: Ma'uli smoch ban karamita. We said you're not allowed to have benefit from these jugs. But remember, the jugs were absorbed wine, and therefore you're not allowed to benefit from these jugs. The question is, are you allowed to be somech kare amita, which means can you use it as a bedpost? Is it a surbana'a? Or maybe we said that it's only just to take out that which was absorbed inside of the jugs, but not because of anything else. So shari or asur. Or for example, what happens if I want the yain nesech there, but I don't want it for itself? I want it for something else. So is that going to be permitted?
Like what?
So
like what?
Here it just says, for example, he says that you want it for, like, for example, the bedpost, right? So now you don't care about the wine which is absorbed in the jugs. You just want it for another reason. So it's another reason. So again, we have the same. This is the question. Meaning, beforehand we asked the question: are you allowed to somech ben keramita? Now we're explaining the question. The question is, I need it, but I don't need it for the yain nesech. I need it for another reason. So is that going to be permitted?
But we still want it to continue. We still want it to continue to exist.
Exactly. So that's the question. The question is that permitted or not? Because I don't want it for the wine. I want it for something else, for something which is a side, something for the side. So Tashema, we're going to try to bring a proof that Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Yochanan, they had a machlok
to drink the wine.
So Chad Asad, one of them they came and they actually permitted it. The Chad Shari, and one of them permitted and one prohibited. So you have a machloket. So again, one more time, you have a case here where you have the jug. The jug has the yain nesech absorbed in the jug, but you don't really want the yain nesech. You're using the jug for a completely different reason. You're supporting the bed with it. So the question is it permitted or prohibited? Machloket Rabbi Lazar and Rabbi Yochanan. And then they have in brackets, obviously, the Lachaza Kimadrasa. Fine. So now the Gemara is going to ask on the Mandamar that says that it's going to be permitted. So says the Gemara, they're going to ask the one question. Abdur Darin. These are Ginin Ktanim. Yeah, he comes and he says over here, Lagin. It's a small jug. Yeah, small jugs. Laginin Ktanim.
Okay, but it's not working for me. I just got it.
Or Rukbaot. Yeah. What are the Rukbaot exactly? So he comes and he says, so again, we're talking about over here, right? The small jugs or chemet. Chemet is also a flask. Okay, so he says, Yain shel Yisrael kanus bayan, and you have the wine of Yisrael which is going to be absorbed in it. So asur b'shtiya mutar bana. It's going to be prohibited in shtiya and mutar bana. He Shimon ben Guda lifnei Rabbo beno shel Rabbi Gamliel. Testified Shimon ben Guda in front of the son of Rabbi Gamliel. Rabbi Gamliel that sheshata mimenu be'akol, that he drank an akol, ve'lo hodu lo, and they didn't agree to him. Nodot shel dokochim, to do with the nodot shel dokochim. So they didn't agree with him. So he says that a bunch of Gamliel Mishum ben Kufsayin says that Gamliel named Mishum ben Kufsayin asul la'ason hen shtichim lechamor. Do you know you're not allowed to come and make a saddle for the chamor? That means here it's mashma. That means even though you have these flasks, I can't even make it for a saddle. Now, are you going to drink the saddle? Obviously not. But I cannot take these flasks and use it as a saddle. So he says, over here, it's the exact same thing. I don't want the wine. I wanted the wine for a different reason. And we still said that it's going to be a sur. So therefore, this is a proof that you cannot use it for any other reason. That means even though it's not for the wine, I wanted it for a different reason. It's still going to be a sur. And according to your reasoning, so you're not allowed to sell them. What's the difference between a flask, right? Or in all these cases, the exact same thing. Meaning, what's the difference between a flask or it's going to be a jug? It's all the exact same halacha. But rather, Rabbi comes and he says this. He says it's a gzera that maybe the node of the flask of a Jew will come. It's going to break. And then what's going to happen? Right? He's going to take it, and then he's going to come and he's going to put it right on top of the place which is cracked, which is torn, which means that the wine which is absorbed in this carpet is now going to give taste in the kosher wine, right? Because basically you're going to come and you're going to use it to cover it. And if you're going to come to use it to cover it, it's going to be prohibited. So he comes and he says, right? And according to the mandama, it's going to be a sur. What's the reasoning of kankanim that it's going to be permitted? So Malachi is going to tell you, Hatam over there, he says the isur is not be'en. The hacha, but over here, Italy isur be'en. The isur is be'en. Right? So therefore he comes and he says, because of that, meaning, is the isur still there or is it not there? Everyone knows what the isur be'en means, no? Meaning the isur is there or not there. He says, to do with the case of the yain nesech, it's not there. It's absorbed in the walls. And therefore they didn't prohibit it in order to leave it there. But in the case of the other one, which is going to be the flask, since there's so much wine there, it is there. So therefore I'm going to say that since the isur is be'en, so therefore it's going to be prohibited. Okay? Says the Gemara testified this. If you remember, we said that Shimon ben Guda testified in front of Rabbi Gamliel, the son of Rabbi Gamliel, on Rabbi Gamliel, that he drank from it. Now they didn't agree to him. They didn't agree to him. So mean here we have a contradiction. Says the Gemara, when you have wine which is coming be rukbaot shel Avodah Kochavim. Remember, rukbaot shel Avodah Kochavim, you're not allowed to drink it, but you're allowed to benefit from it. So Rabbi Shimon ben Guda testified in front of Rabbi Gamliel, the son of Rabbi Gamliel, that he drank from it, but they did agree with him. So what does it mean then? Lo hodulo, they didn't admit to him. What does that mean? They didn't admit to him. So he says the Kamal Hatam. He says kol siyato, everybody they didn't agree with him. But no module, meaning everybody in the group they disagreed with him, but his own son he agreed with him. Many times it happens. For you can answer another answer. Guda lechut de guda lechut, which means, right, Guda with an aleph is one thing, and Guda with an ayin is another thing. Meaning there were two different people that testified in different times. One of them testified Shimon ben Guda with an aleph, and the other one was Shimon ben Guda with an ayin. So therefore, the testimony of lo hodulo, right, there was a difference between the first one and the second one, meaning it was two different testimonies. One testimony was hodulo, and the other one was lo hodulo. Okay? Now, ve'orot levuvim, we're on the next two dots. Orot levuvim. Okay? Orot levuvim of an animal. Ezu or lavuv. What does it mean in or lavuv, which is going to be a surbana? Kol shekarua keneged halev. Anything which is going to be torn by the heart. The kadur, and it's got a hole. Kemina aruba, like an entrance in the roof. Okay? Yesh alav chut shel dam. If it's got blood, it's going to be a sur, because that means it's a sign right? That the or was already had a hole in it. Okay, that the skin already had a hole in it, right? Lamed bet Amud bet 32b. Enalav kushel dam, but if it does not have any type of blood,
Mhm.
it's going to be mutar bana. Why? Because I'm going to say that it was only done afterwards. So therefore, it wasn't done for Avodah Zarah. So anything which is not done for Avodah Zarah, you're allowed to benefit from it. Okay?
Sure.
So,
Sure.
okay? Fine. So Amar Rav Huna comes and he says, Loshana, what are we dealing with? Ela shelo manchu. If they didn't put salt it, remember that the way to preservatives in the olden days was salting it. Aval melacho, but if they did salt it, it's going to be a surbana, even if there's no blood. Why? Ema, because I'm going to say milcho hevirato, which means the salt draws blood. Remember, why it does according to Jewish rituals, Jewish law, after slaughtering an animal, you have to salt it. Because the
It
salt
removes the blood.
draws it draws the blood. So here, if they salted it, it's not a proof that there was no, the opposite. It could have been there was blood, and really, Be'emet, the blood was there, and therefore it did it for Avodah Zarah. And the only reason why you couldn't find blood now is because you salted it. So therefore, obviously, it's not going to be a proof. Okay? Next part of the Gemara. Rashba Gomer, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says, בזמן שהקרע שלו עגול אסור, משוך מותר. If they went and they tore the hole to take out the heart, and the tear was round, so then it's a surbana. But if it's going to be mashuch, which means like a line, it's going to be mutar. Why? But they don't do that for Avodah Zarah. Meaning, when they do it for Avodah Zarah, they make a round hole, and then they take out the heart. If it's long, that's not the normal way of taking it out for Avodah Zarah. And says Rabbi Yosef, in the name of Yehuda Minu Shmuel, halacha zek rashbag. Okay, so it all depends how's the hole. Is the hole round or long? Okay? So says the Gemara, Amaleh Abaye comes in and says, halacha mikra the pligi. Whenever I say that halacha is like somebody, what is that mashma? It's mashma that somebody argues on that. Because if I have to tell you the halacha is like this, it means that there's somebody else that doesn't say like that. So he says, who is this? So Amaleh, what do you care? Okay, what do you care? There's somebody who doesn't. What do you care? Amaleh, he says, Gemara, Gemor, Zemor Tate. He says, well, we're just learning Gemara and we're just, we're not paying attention. Just, yeah, just learn, but you're not paying attention to what you're learning. What's going on over here? So because of that, that's why he actually wanted to learn, is there the halacha, meaning is there somebody else or not that actually says that?
Well, is there somebody else or not?
So the Gemara doesn't actually say it. The Gemara doesn't actually say it. Yeah? Meaning, why is he saying it? But the Gemara does not actually say it. It says here.
Does the buyer have an opinion?
No, look at the footnote. The footnote says, "Em barur maskanat Gemara." It's not clear in the maskana of the Gemara whether Rabbi Yosef says that there is a machloket or not. Meaning, we don't know. Meaning, one guy comes and he says the halacha like this. The other one says, "What are you talking about?" Well, halacha. So who argues? So he says, "No, just stam." He says, "Well, stam." Does somebody argue? Doesn't argue. He didn't actually answer. So the fact that he didn't answer, so it's not a proof anymore, right? That Be'emet, does he argue or doesn't he argue? We don't know.
I got it.
Very good. Next, the two dogs. Basara nichnas avodat kochavim mutar. We said when you have basara avodat kochavim that comes in, which means that the goy is bringing it in to the avodat kochavim, it's going to be mutar bana, right? That means basically he went and he took it before the goy was able to serve it as avodah zarah. So that means, again, one more time, you have meat avodat kochavim. He's bringing it into the place of the avodah zarah, but before he actually brought it, the Jew took it from him. So in such a case, it's mutar bana. You're allowed to benefit from it. Again, you're not allowed to eat it because it came from the goy. You can't eat it, but you're allowed to benefit from it. So says the Gemara Mantana, who's the Tana of our Mishnah.
It was not checked. Right?
Yes, that's why. So therefore, since it wasn't checked, obviously they can't eat it, but you're allowed to benefit. So he says, since it was not brought to Avodah Zarah, you could still benefit. So he says, Mantana, who's the Tana that holds this, the Amar of Chia Bar Abba says of Chia Bar Abba, he says, Amar of Yochanan, name of Yochanan, it's not like a Eliezer. Why? But if it's going to be like Rabbi Eliezer, I thought he said, which means that even if you don't know, the fact that he already did the shchita was already for Avodah Zarah. So first, if the shchita was done for Avodah Zarah, it should already be a surbana. So why do you tell me that if you caught it on the way into the house of Avodah Zarah, that it's going to be permitted? Why? It should be prohibited. So says the Gemara, right? So you're right. So it comes out that obviously our Mishnah is not like Rabbi Eliezer. Okay, because according to him, it's stam already going to be prohibited. So obviously our Mishnah is not like him. Okay, the next two dots. Vayotze asur. If it's coming outside of the Avodah Zarah, it's for sure going to be asur. Why? Because it's considered zivche metim. Remember, zivche metim is any type of a sacrifice that was brought for Avodah Zarah is called zivche metim. It's like it was brought to the dead people. So it says the Gemara.
Sacrifices of the dead.
Exactly. Sacrifice of dead people. So says the Gemara, my time out, what's reasoning? Because for sure they brought it to the Avodah Zarah, meaning if it's coming on the way out, for sure he already brought it for the Avodah Zarah. Think about it. An animal's inside of the Beit Avodah Zarah. What's it doing there? Obviously, they brought it as a korban. And then they're going to bring it out. So obviously, it was already considered a korban. So says the Gemara, Mani, who is this? The Yudam Mitera. It's Yudam Mitera. The Tanya was we learned in the Bright. Yudam Mitera, and Yudam Mitera says, how do we know that any type of Avodah Zarah that was brought as a korban is going to be mitameh be'ohel? Right? Just like a met. Remember, a human being, when he dies, the entire place where the ohel is, the entire tent, the roof area, becomes mitameh be'ohel. How do we know the exact same halacha applies to a tikrovet Avodah Zarah? So it says, Shneimar, it says in the pasuk, we just read it in last week's parasha, the ends, the maftir, right before the maftir, right then Shavi, it says that they went close, they clinged to Baal Peor, that was Avodah Zarah, and they ate from zivche metim, they ate from the sacrifices of the dead people. So just like a met, a dead person is going to be mitameh be'ohel, so too tikrovet avodah kochavim mitameh be'ohel. So too the sacrifice of avodah kochavim is also going to be mitameh be'ohel. So therefore, you see from here that they learn from that hekesh, that juxtaposition, the proximity, that it's the same halacha. Which means just like a met, you're not allowed to benefit from a dead person. They can't come and use the body of a dead person for benefits. It's a surbana. So too, the tikrovet avodah zarah is a surbana. Okay, so you're not allowed to benefit from it as well. Okay, the next
Sounds
one.
like it's a double, Rabbi. It sounds like it's a double gezerah shava.
It's not a shava. It's a proximity, a hekesh. Remember, a proximity, a juxtaposition, is not the same as a gzera shava. Zera shava is using the same word twice in two different places. Here it's brought close together, meaning since it said there that they came close to the Avodah Zarah, right? They came close to Baal Peor. Baal Peor is the name of the Avodah Zarah. And they ate from zivche metim. So we went and we made a juxtaposition between the met and the Baal Peor, the Avodah Zarah. We said just like a met is going to be mitameh be'ohel, as it's brought down mefurash, so too the sacrifice of Avodah Zarah is also going to be mitameh be'ohel as well, which means that they were comparing them together. That the dead people is like the Avodah Zarah. So therefore, just like the sacrifice of the Avodah Zarah is like a dead person. So just like a dead person is going to be a surbana and it's going to be mitameh be'ohel, you're not allowed to benefit from a dead person. And it's going to be mitameh the entire floor or the entire building where he is. So too, the same halacha would apply to the tikrovet Avodah Zarah. Okay?
Yep.
Very good. Last two dots. Somebody goes to the Beit Avodah Zarah. So imagine you've got a goy that's going to the house of Avodah Zarah. So you're not allowed to do business with them. Why? Right? Because if they're coming back from them, then it's permitted, but it's not. Because imagine you're going all the way to the Avodah Zarah, and all of a sudden they do a business deal with you. You're going to come to the Avodah. The first thing, what are you going to say? Thank you. You just did a good business deal for me. But if they just left, so now they're not going to go back specially. You understand? So Amar Shmuel says, Oved kochavim ha'olech letarput. If you have an oved kochavim that's going to the Avodah Zarah, tarput is something which is disgusting. So that's the name that they're giving it. Okay, so bahalicha, on the way there to this place, it's going to be asur. The azil modi kameh oved kochavim, because he's going to say thank you to the Avodah Zarah. B'chazara, on the way back, it's going to be permitted. Right? So says the Gemara, why? Mandava hava. Whatever happened, happened. Meaning, once he already left, he's not going to go back, especially to say thank you. Whatever, it happened already. So that's it. He's not going to say thank you anymore. However, though, on the opposite, if an Yisrael is going to the Avodah Zarah, it's exact opposite. On the way there, it's mutar to do, right, schora because maybe he's going to retract and he won't do the Avodah Zarah. Meaning, if you have a Jew that's going to a place of Avodah Zarah, on the way there, it's permitted to do business with him. Why? Because maybe he's going to retract, he's going to do teshuvah, and he'll never actually go. So therefore, you're allowed to do business with him. But on the way back, b'chazara, you're not allowed to. Why? Kevan de'avikbe, because once he started becoming connected to the Avodah Zarah, for sure he's going to go back and he's going to say thank you. Meaning the Jew, once he comes connected, he's connected. He's there. So therefore, he's going to go back. He's going to say thank you. So on the way back, it's not the same that my Hava, whatever happened. No, by the goy, whatever happened. By the Jew, the second he was already there and he got connected to it, he's going to go back to say thank you. So on the way back, you're not allowed to. Until here, we're clear.